Going to market with partners. Sorry I'm late, guys. Sorry we're late, everybody. It's we had some great service tracks that we had to find a good stopping point for on the last one with Dakota. But hopefully, whoever attended that session got a lot from it. Now we're going to learn how to put the wheels on the ground, so to speak, and make some money off of these partners by successfully going to market together. That means I got a new partner. What do I do now? How do I make sure people come and buy services from us and we make our money back from all the time spent on learning how to set up these services? Scott Breitenother, friend from Brooklyn Data.
Hey, buddy.
In parentheses, a Valier company now. We'll talk about that. Sheree Siegel, former Simon Data, now at Snowflake, and these two have known each other for a while and have gone to market at least once together. So I asked them to be our panelists for this session because they've done it and done it well. Let's start out with intros. Sheree, outside of what I said, who are you?
Yeah, great to be here. I think we're running short on time, so if you want, we can just jump into it. But
yeah, for sure. I like that.
Let's jump. Let's do it.
Scott, you had a busy 5 years. Launched in Brooklyn Data after leaving Casper, scaled it to 100 so employees, got bought. Partnerships. What aspect of all of that success did partnerships play?
I mean, I think, we've always tried to be really involved in the broader modern data stack ecosystem. And our job, our clients essentially bring us in to help them navigate all the different tools that are out there, to bring them together. And they don't want a BI tool or a data warehouse. They want an end-to-end solution. And so that's where, I think a big kind of part of our success was just being so plugged in with everyone from Simon Data, where Sharice was before, to Snowflake, where Sharice is now, and kind of tools like Fivetran and dbt and Sigma, just really just having close relationships. And I think that the trick is not to have a sales relationships or partnerships relationship. It's to have an everything relationship. It's have a relationship in sales, in partnerships, in product, in engineering, in marketing, to have just like be supporting each other at all levels instead of just through a partnership contact. And so say our success was definitely due to just being really connected and like supporting our partners. And then, I find that when you send positive energy out, it ends up coming back your way.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you mentioned some of your top partners there. You guys have a partner team as well. April on that team, and I think that even grew after April. And yeah, the proof's in the pudding. You guys scaled super quick and did everything, I think, the right way. Sharice, you were part of that journey a little bit. Let's talk about what aspects of partnerships you've got going on now, and give us a little context to the relationship with Scott and Brooklyn Data, if you could.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with Scott for several years, and I think one of the things that I've seen across service partners is when they are easy and fun to work with. And I know that sounds very arbitrary and very elemental, but it is so critical to have that as your core part of relationships. You go to business, you go to market, and work with people you like. And Scott and his team has certainly created this gravitational pull that they're so great to work with, and then advising on so many different fronts that, service agencies that are supporting technology partners and, mutual customers really need to be advisory when they come to working with different data types and partner types, but also just easy to work with. So that means being a little bit more flexible and having more of that advisory arm. And service partners I see that are really elevating right now are ones that are unsurprisingly building out more of a stronger data service arm. It's kind of future-proofing agencies for the future, helping them kind of help brands kind of be more nimble in navigating all the different privacy and data governance needs that are happening in the market right now. And that makes it easy for technology partners to plug in an agency as that consultative arm. So I think investing in the data and having that expertise and being easy to work with is probably the most critical aspect.
You went right into my next question there. So what aspects of an agency make them a ideal partner to work with? You get more attention as the agency, get more resources, get more support, get more co-marketing, thought leadership, leads, revenue, all that stuff that we need to do. A lot of Scott's partners are bringing him onto panels, bringing them into discussion. Same thing with Julian and Human 37 from earlier today. Scott, so what do you believe you did differently or did better in a way, yes, if we were honest, than most agencies with relation to partnerships? I believe it's on our thread of questions, but I wanted to ask that now. What do you believe you guys did differently, or even the way you looked at it? Anything that others could do to have your success with partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. I think maybe it comes from my, I don't know, maybe even lack of experience in running an agency, but we really wanted to build community from day one. And so, like, I found with a few other folks, Locally Optimistic, which is a data community. Brooklyn Data runs the New York City DBT meetup. And it's funny because I've had people like ask, it's like, hey, what's the ROI on that? And I'm like, no idea. I mean, we really do not, we do not. I mean, listen, you've got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze, and you got to make sure you're prioritizing your time and limited resources in the right place. But like, I really do think that you need to, if you build community, if you demonstrate thought leadership, if you bring all of your partners up with you, and you don't send them a bill and ask for everything returned, just really, if you help your partners, help the community, help your clients. I do believe that it's I don't know if it's intuitive or counterintuitive, but if you build community, you do get the work. And so I think just maybe make not holding everything to a strict ROI lens. I mean, we do the New York DBT meetups because I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's great seeing all the awesome people in the space, seeing them every few months, and sure, I'm sure it has a positive impact on our brand. But I mean, we do it because we really love building community.
I love it. Comments on that, Charisse, and then let's get into the go-to-market angle from this, which is you at Simon Data, I think, was probably more relevant for this, especially with Brooklyn Data here, but now it's Snowflake. So comment on what Scott said, and then let's talk about what agencies should expect from a new tech partner, and maybe be more proactive to ensure that they're getting what they deserve or should deserve if they're trying hard and working hard and putting the resources in out of the partnership.
Yeah, I'd say the community that Scott and Brooklyn Data Co. created, opened a lot of different doors for me to more easily plug them into opportunities with our customer base. I would find that, half the time it wasn't even my team reaching out to Brooklyn Data Co. or Scott. It was, our CRO or our CEO was reaching out directly to Scott and his team because they saw an opportunity. And, as a partner team, you can't be on all the different threads. So you want to make sure that there's a gravitational pull, and that community that Brooklyn Data Co. and Scott have created is definitely been one of the main reasons why I've seen such strong partnerships with your team, Scott. So, I mean, incredible work. Going into, yeah, of course. Going into, what agencies should expect from new tech partners in support of go-to-market. I think an important thing, if I was an agency trying to deploy a partnership with a tech organization, I would look for a couple of different things. The first thing I would look for is a partner team that is measured on metrics that support agencies. So this could be like higher retention or expansion metrics. I think so many technology partner teams are measured on top of funnel leads, which sometimes agencies are good for. They can help bring new tech in as opportunities come up, but you should really look at them as more of influencing and helping you influence a deal that's already in flight, or retaining an existing customer, or expanding. And I'd say having a technology partner team that has those metrics and is measured on that is going to be more aligned to what you're hoping to get done. I'd also look for technology partnerships that have, they likely have some services in-house, but there's enough room that's welcoming for agencies to kind of get a slice of the pie as well. So you don't want to compete with your own in-house managed services team and against an agency. That just makes it hard for everyone. So finding a tech partner that maybe is very light on their own in-house services and is used to bringing agencies in and kind of helping them be incorporated in part of the offering. And then lastly, I would focus on having a mutually beneficial like lead opportunities. So like joint service packages that you can bring to market together. So maybe this is something that this could be as simple as an implementation package, or it can be like an actual net new use case or some sort of like technology plus agency services going to market deploying XYZ outcome. Those types of partnership teams that kind of think through strategically how to go to market together are the ones you want to lean into. So those are kind of the core ones. Scott, did I miss anything that you've seen work really well?
I'm as always, Sharice, I feel like I'm totally aligned with you. I mean, I think like if I think of where we've been successful with partners and where we haven't, it's funny because I think we bring a lot of intention to all partnerships, and some go nowhere, and some actually just really generate. So I think its first one is like, as you hit, they kind of need to get professional services and get what a partner does, and I think the root of that is having an in-house PS team that, so we can speak the same language. And I typically feel like even though it's kind of, I've never felt like our incentives are misaligned when there's a in-house PS team. Like it doesn't feel like competition because generally speaking, the tech partners PS team, wants to go this far and, not kind of go as deep as we would on the kind of professional services, external professional services team. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's definitely that aspect of an internal PS team makes a lot of sense. I think there's just you also have to make sure both parties are serious about it because we're all so busy. And I think it's always so easy for something to be the second or third or fourth or fifth thing on your to-do list, which is not inherently a bad thing, but it just means you iterate in weeks or months instead of days. And you never pick up momentum for what it's worth. And then I would say the partnerships that have gone really well are ones where we're invited internally, maybe to like a lunch and learn or to knowledge share. And there's that kind of two-way communication. But I mean, I would say also +1 for basically everything you just said, Sharice.
That is so interesting that you actually see more positive momentum when there is an existing in-house like professional services team. That's fascinating. That's great.
Well, and it doesn't even have to be a formalized in-house PS team. Like, I know that there are a lot of kind of earlier stage scrappy tools, like SaaS companies that will have to inherently do some professional services themselves, but they won't have a formalized PS team. They'll just be part of their sales process. But totally, like, because I don't know. It's a very different. I say it's a very different way to operate a business and engage with customers when you're selling a SaaS product versus services.
Yeah.
It is. And so just having them understand that is really, I just make sure it means you can speak the same language.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. I think I've only worked in tech, so I've always been on the other side of that wall. And, when I've had to go to market with agencies and also had an in-house professional services team, there's always this rub, this internal friction of, do the partnership team get to outsource this to an agency versus taking it on in-house? So that's great perspective. I mean, that's why I love hanging out with you, Scott, because you added another angle that maybe I didn't see of only working on the tech side.
Oh, I love it. We're going to talk about some failures as well. Let's put together sort of the MVP versus a top tier Snowflake and Brooklyn Data type of a go-to-market. So the MVP, I would say what we can all easily do is put together a little bit of a co-branded launch of the partnership, make sure everybody knows the stakeholders, make sure we all know the operation of, if I bring a client to the table, do I bring it to Sharice and this other PS manager, or do I bring it to so-and-so and then they bring it? And how does that communication process work? and then launch, of course, with email newsletter and post logos on websites. And now we're open for business. I'm able to service Snowflake, right? And then there's the more involved go-to-market. I posted some examples and some things that you can consider doing with your partners. But I think the big thing that a lot of service providers just not drop the ball. Maybe they're just, everyone's too busy, but I don't think there's enough of a prep of a go-to-market with some of their new technology. It's really one-sided. Like Sakota, River, Ricardo will come to you and say, here's our partner program. And they'll give you a bunch of enablement assets, and they'll give you a training if you want it and need it. But they really leave it to that. And it's up to you as the service provider to say, no, let's put together some local meetups. I can train, people in Brooklyn how to use Sakota. I can invite ICPs. Maybe you're going to buy dinner for the whole group when we do a training. Let's do lunch and learns and reverse lunch and learns. Let's do all this stuff. So, Scott, what are some of the things that have happened successfully in go-to-market that you really liked and the team rallied around and it was successful, ROI positive, and then maybe one or two examples of when it failed and communication broke down or someone promised something that wasn't delivered? Let's talk about the success and then a little bit of failure, and then Therese, we'll get your comments on that.
I think go to market with partners. It's interesting. I mean, I think success or failure comes down to communication, because ultimately you have to trust each other to sell each other's product a little bit. I mean, not 100%, but a little bit. And so where it's been successful is, I feel like I can sell a lot of our tech partners products as well as they can. And I feel like they understand kind of what we do as well. Where it has been less successful is when, we on the Brooklyn data side are trying to talk about a technical solution we're not less knowledgeable about, or a tech partner, or a tech partner, I guess doesn't understand what we do, or even I think it might even silly, is that we've had situations where we've been working with tech partners and the sales folks on their side are really good at selling SaaS, but not necessarily as kind of have the experience selling services. And so we've gotten into places where there's been misalignment of expectations on what we at Brooklyn Data could do and how long it would take and things like that. And I get it. I think all parties involved are sometimes trying to get the sale over the finish line. And so that's the challenge. It's just it comes down to communication, if I was to summarize it.
Therese, comments on that? Good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, it's all like basic relationship building and trying to keep all parties informed on what's happening in the deal and kind of making sure everyone has a heads up. It's funny, a lot of the stuff just comes down to basic, how do you get along and how would you want to be treated if you were on the other side of the fence. So I agree with what Scott was saying. It's really more about just making sure all parties are aligned, executive sponsors are on the same page, and that you kind of know your lane. So that you're not, inadvertently stepping on toes. I see a lot more inadvertently stepping on toes with, trying to be thorough as opposed to anything, intentional happening that goes bad. It's all just basic, like everybody's trying to get to the same goal and making sure that you're working behind the scenes with your partners properly.
Should come off mute if I want to talk. Scott, so some of those failures, learning and iterating, and when is a good time? I guess the real question there is, when is a good time to sink further resources in with a partner? Are there anything, is there something that happens that says, hey, I need to not only hire a partner manager and make this an operation, but I am willing to, pull the trigger with Snowflake and say, let's do this, meaning costs, meaning I got to tell team members to get into the certification program, and that's going to cost me money, and have them show up to lunch and learns with cost me more money. And, when is the time that an agency like Brooklyn Data should double down on partnerships? Is it immediately, or is there kind of some signals going on there?
I mean, I like to like lean into momentum. So I think it's like when you pick a momentum and it's like, what is momentum? I think it's like, I know it when I see it. And it could be, sales. It could be just like positive engagement from the other side. But it's just, we lean into momentum. We lean into like excitement to progress. And tactically, that could be like, they're bringing us into a project or we're bringing them into a project, or they're really interested in kind of shopping us around internally and educated. Just like we all have a finite amount of resources. And so it's just natural to lean into momentum. And just going back to what Cherise said, I think at the very beginning, it's like you work with people, not companies. And so, if there's a good vibe and you're enjoying work with people and you feel like they get you, you get them, and you each have each other's best interest in heart, that's where we double down.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Lean into momentum. Those signals will happen, and you'll know it, as is what I'm hearing. And then it comes down to the understanding the perception. So I want to end with this. A lot of agency partners, they may be dealing with the sales team at the beginning, then they get into the partner program, and then they're dealing with someone like Cherise, and they may not know really what it is you do, Cherise. Like, what is your role for them, and what do you do? Like, it's important for us to understand. And then Scott has April and her team and understanding what they do. So let's end with this, Cherise. What is your real role for Scott and Brooklyn Data, and what should agencies really come to you with and lean on you for?
So as speaking as like a technology partner team, and what is our role for a sales org or someone at an agency side, it's really focusing.
Proverbial you, the solution partner manager at a top tech.
Yeah, I think the goal, the role for on the tech side is really building out the avenues where agencies can be plugged in. So I need to create a path where we can go to market together. Sometimes that happens organically with a single opportunity that came up and they have a need that, as a technology provider, we can't solve for. So we bring in an agency. But if you look across your customer base, you're going to see trends where there's a specific gaps in the customer's experience that they need help with. And I survey your customer base, figure out where those gaps are, and then work with the agency to build out a go-to-market service package together. And that can be really like the initial way to kind of go to market. But you really look at the technology partner team as the avenue to plug you into these customer bases and work together to expand and grow that customer account.
Yeah, that's why we have that slide in the deck that you may have seen if you were on for Sakota, Cardo, or Rivery. What is the partner track? We're going to meet you today, and we're going to go to market. Hopefully you want to go to market, which means we're going to make money off this partnership. What are the stages? What am I going to give you at each stage? What are you going to give me? And now, Scott, let's talk about what you have to provide. What does April and her team and you have to do to make sure that you have success with this partnership? What did you not expect with partnerships that you learned, I got to do this and I got to do more of it? What are some of the key learnings there? And we'll end on that.
I mean, I think it's just not everything has to be metric driven, but I think at least having some quantitative goals, objective goals in a partnership is helpful. So setting a strategy, having a goal, and even if you miss it by a mile, it's better than having no goals. And so like, I think that's what our April and the partnership team does a great job, is forming those relationships. And for our top partners, we do set goals. And we're getting better and better at the goals, but it's almost like the thought process that's the most important.
Cherise, say your goodbyes. I know you're 2 minutes over and you're probably got another Zoom call to jump onto, but thank you for coming. Any final words before you got to go, or just say later on?
Thanks. Yeah. Reach out if you need anything. And thanks, Scott. Always happy to be on a panel with you.
Always great to see you, Cherise.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. I'm posting links. There's an article with Cherise's 13 steps. Scott, I posted your LinkedIn and all that fun stuff. Connect with Scott. He's a great follow on LinkedIn. Lots of fun. And then if you don't have a partner operations platform, create a free Partner Hub account today. app.partnerhub.app/register. Thanks, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time.